This was an independent article, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Bitchute is based in the UK.
It is,
so
yes.
That's where they're trying to come after them. And they list here how, this is a great moment for the left because they've been able to take down Parler, and therefore all the extremists have gone down with them. And some of the reasoning in this is amazing. So they talk about the popularity of extremism. So how is this really a problem?
Is it really that extreme if it's the most popular position?
But it's like if massive swathes of the public are in agreement, I don't know if you can call that extremism.
Exactly.
Or not.
Maybe the tiny fringe minority of leftists who are not in agreement with most people are actually the real extremists.
No, they're the centrists.
Yes,
and everyone else is the extremists.
Yes, I've seen their memes going around where AOC is centre left and Pelosi is centre right. It's like, right.
It's like Joe Biden's far right.
Yeah, Joe Biden's the far right, yeah.
So
thanks, communists.
I can't say his name, so I'm just going to use the abbreviation TR. I'm pretty sure everyone could figure that one out.
Yep.
So TR had 1 million followers on Facebook and 300,000 on Parler, and they say with all the purges, he's now down to about 100,000 followers on various other platforms.
Wow,
it's like,
if only I had such unlimited power over my enemies to destroy everything that they had.
Think of that, 1 million followers.
And they can just wipe that out.
That's the extremists of our country. What is that, 1/60th, something like that?
Yeah.
But that's before he was allowed to grow. So they also mentioned that his page was getting 5 million, between 5 and 10 million views every month. Mm-hmm. Tiny fringe extremists, clearly.
Yeah.
But then you compare this to a group that I would actually say are extremists. So they say the BNP, the British National Party, which is a white nationalist party, had 200,000 followers, and the English Defence League had 21,000. It's nothing.
No.
Compare that to the TR. He had massive amounts of popularity, whereas these guys are complete fringe.
But you actually did a political compass test with the notorious
the
TR.
offender.
Yeah.
So we ran a political compass test on him because he's never done it. Mm-hmm. We wondered, would he actually become, where would he be?
Yeah.
Dead center. Like, more centrist, like, more left-wing than me.
Insufferably centrist.
Yeah, like, not really strong opinions on much, other than, leave me the hell alone.
Right, okay.
Which, fair.
But that when you're putting forward, like, a very strong ideological position, you naturally cut out many people from joining the conversation who just flat out disagree with it and kind of hate the position anyway. But Tommy wasn't really doing that, was he? He was talking about, events, things that were, in his opinion, moral wrongs. I don't think he was putting forward a particular kind of worldview, really.
No, I mean, he never was. I mean, he never really had an opinion on such things. I noticed recently, before Parler went down, he's actually become like a Ronald Reagan simp. Like, I see him posting Ronald Reagan videos all the time. I'm like, based.
Yes, that's good.
Anyway, they also mention here, of course, there are other extremists who have large followings who are yet to be taken down.
Oof.
People like Paul Joseph Watson with 1 million followers on Facebook. It's like, okay, again.
I thought you got taken off Facebook.
Maybe he is taken off now.
PJW was taken off Facebook a couple of years ago.
Well, there we go. They also mentioned Katie Hopkins having followers on Twitter, but she was taken off.
Yeah,
recently.
She's still on Instagram though.
She's on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I love the other point here, which is that the BNP, like Nick Griffin, is still on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
Richard Spencer, all the Biden voters are still on Twitter.
The people I think we could accurately describe as extremists because their followings are fringe small groups of ideologies that are not mainstream at all.
Yeah.
They're a nothing burger. They're not even a threat. They're not interested in that. They're interested in people like TR who have a larger following, who are not very extreme in their political opinions. They just have an opinion on one particular thing. Islamization.
They speak against the politically correct narrative.
Yeah, that's the real problem. But they say that this is a massive win for them, the leftists in this article, saying that because the right are split among loads of platforms, they're not really able to coalesce.
Yep.
And the quote here is, if they continue to split themselves across a series of platforms, none of them will become viable in the long term. Joe Mulhall, a senior researcher for counter-extremism organization Hope Not Hate, told The Independent. Get to him in a minute. But I like the idea that because it's decentralized, therefore it'll be bad. But it's actually one of the unique things about the right that keeps them going. Because you can take one guy down, one guy gets purged. Doesn't matter, like there's so many others.
Yeah.
It doesn't really affect
the right doesn't tend to coalesce into one monolithic organization.
No. Whereas if you took down Vox or CNN, oh god.
Yeah.
It's bad day for the left. Big bad day.
Oh, it'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So Mr. Mulhall says that while deplatforming creates a risk of extreme silos, so the fact people become more extreme, in less regulated spaces, it reduces the ability of people to reach new followers. Okay, as a piece of...
I mean, that is true, which is why they do it, which is why it's wrong.
Yeah, but I love the idea that we're taking this from the counter-extremism organization Hope Not Hate. This guy, Joe, who's in charge of their research. Joe's a member of the Communist Party.
Oh.
Communist Party of Great Britain.
So he's not an extremist then?
No, I don't know if we can get the political thing up. There was a guy I knew who managed to find this on his Facebook page. and then just posted it. It was like, yeah, he's just openly accepting he's a Communist Party of Great Britain member.
Okay.
He's the anti-extremist guy in charge of fighting the right. I was like, right, so he doesn't have objective motives.
He's the centrist.
Yeah, the Communist Party of Great Britain are the centrist normals, whereas everyone else is the extremists. Oh,
mad.
Jesus. But there's also some weird doublethink on here. So they mention mainstream platforms have not coordinated their takedowns for some extremists, such as the BNP, still being on Twitter, Nick Griffin, Anne-Marie Waters, the leader of For Britain Group, and they mentioned that some of them have been able to stay on mainstream networks despite being removed from others. It's like, right, that's the complaint. The social media, cartel isn't coordinating enough.
Yeah.
So you're implicitly saying they do coordinate on these things.
Yes.
Thanks for telling us.
And that's good, in their opinion. In the opinion of the communists, it's good if international mega corporations with no accountability coordinate to attack and destroy their opponents. That's good for them.
Much leftism.
Yeah. Yeah.
They also mentioned the far right characterizes the curbs as an attack on free speech, because they are. Like, I don't care if it is the BNP for a second. Let's just say, I disagree with them massively. They are an extremist group. But if you censor them, you're censoring their free speech.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, that's just true.
This man characterized my shooting him as an assassination attempt. I mean, just really looks like one, that's all.
Yeah. They also go on to mention that when they're talking about recruiting new followers, they say those things decrease on other platforms because there are far fewer normal people to win over and target. So they're talking about the normies, I guess.
Yes, they are.
But I noticed Bitchute were upset about this because they were saying, are you saying all of the people on our platform are not normal? Like, it's pretty
I'm
insulting.
saying that if you want. I've used Bitchute. I use Bitchute.
Non-normal people.
Yes.
But I love the way they end this. So they messaged VK, like the Independent messaged VK back in the day, to get TR taken off the platform. Going to be deplatformed if I say the name. And they got him taken off, and VK gave a statement saying they took him off for hate speech. And it was like, well, what? Well, that's definitely not true.
Okay.
You just made that up.
Yeah.
And they also messaged Bitchute CEO to ask him, why haven't you done our bidding? Why haven't you gotten rid of these people? And
why haven't you bent the knee?
Yeah, he responded by saying that the platform is politically neutral and regulated by Ofcom, and a statement, we treat all users as equals with the same rights and openly welcome all forms of diversity.
Based.
Like, and he like the Independent that sat there with a Pikachu face, like, what? He can't do that.
But that's the thing. That Helen Dale wrote us an article on lotus.com about this, about how Silicon Valley is essentially taking up the position of Ofcom, the regulator. But Ofcom being subject to the government means there is some form of accountability for this regulatory power. And that's the problem with Silicon Valley.
No.
There's nothing.
Like,
There's
they call them in
no
for a talk, but there's no real way of making them do things.
Yeah, I mean, like, if communists are able to get people deplatformed, then how is that? Who's accountable for that?
And yeah, literal Communist Party of Great Britain member, as, senior Alanist researcher, blah, 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 giving an opinion of how to get rid of people because they're extremists. I mean, that's the state of the UK.
Yeah.
And then when an organisation like Bitchute, who is just like, no, we're politically neutral, we're not going to do anything wrong, that's not acceptable. No. And they're going to come for Bitchute afterwards. So,
yes.
I mean, Bitchute, give them all the support you can because they do not deserve it. They're actually protecting diversity of opinion, which is what's evil, apparently. Yeah.
So when the communists come to infringe your rights and Silicon Valley say, yeah, okay, we'll do that, there's no recourse whatsoever.
Yeah, so we just got to be on there. But this wasn't just kept through Bitchute. This then exploded over the weekend to go further and further and further because, of course, it does.
Yeah.
So the first one here is the fact that since Parler's gone, there's no real need to keep up the heat on them for the leftists. So they're now going after Facebook because they don't see Facebook as an ally. So the first article here from Salon.com.
Just before we start, why do we think they don't see Facebook as an ally? Because Zuckerberg has been as much of an ally as he can be.
Yeah, I mean, the people who work at Facebook in creating the policy, people like Zuckerberg, people like Sheryl Sandberg, definitely. These folks are
Nick
definitely
Clegg.
Definitely partisan, definitely up for getting rid of everyone who disagrees. But that's not their problem. The problem is the boomers are on it, aren't they?
Yes. The problem is the Daily Wire is the most read publication on Facebook. The problem is, all the MAGA boomers are on there tweeting about how civil war's coming and the demon KKK rats have started it.
Yeah, so they can't be allowing that to happen. So they need to destroy Facebook because then it'll scatter the boomers as well.
God.
So they you can see here they're blaming them for the.
But I mean, Facebook is like Sauron, though. Like, this is the giant monolith. How on earth do they think they're going to take down Facebook?
They're the most censorious as well. They're actually worse than Twitter and YouTube, in my opinion.
YouTube are the least censorious by a long way.
Yeah, but they're trying to blame them here for the Capitol Hill, which weird considering you just blame Parler for this. And they give a statement here saying if you took Parler out of the equation, you would still almost certainly have what happened on the Capitol. If you took Facebook out of the equation before that, you would not. To me, Apple and Google sent their letter to Parler. I was a little confused why Facebook didn't get one also.
And that's from the CEO of Media Matters. But that just...
it's a Democrat organization.
Yeah. But why then did Parler get the letter if they were taken out of the equation, they weren't responsible for what happened?
Because it wasn't to do with what happened. It was to do with wrongthink.
Exactly. It was to do with removing a base of operations for the enemy.
Yeah.
That's what it was about. It was a strategic position that needed to be captured in a war.
And it's not just leftist outlets like Salon or mainstream Democrat organizations like Media Matters.
Yep.
AOC has also said that this is the problem here,
Yep.
saying that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook bear partial responsibility for Wednesday's events, period. Because, of course, she does.
Yep. Thank you, Alexandra Ocasio-Robespierre.
So, and the Washington Post as well is also backing this up, saying, actually, if we are looking for someone responsible for this, well, it's going to have to be Facebook, because Parler doesn't even have groups, as I think we pointed out before.
Yep.
Like, if you want to set up a group, it can't be done. But on Facebook, you can set up a MAGA group and start organizing things.
But, I mean, the evidence is all there, because all of the Parler data was leaked. And I saw various sort of blogs looking into it and saying, well, we can't find anyone who was at the Capitol protest doing any of this organizing on Parler. So Parler has been unjustly defamed and deplatformed for political reasons without any evidence to suggest they were in any way involved.
Yeah, and the left is just admitting it was all a lie. It was all a phantom narrative to get rid of Parler.
Unreal.
Nothing to do with it. And the thing is, irritatingly, if we want to take this line of standard that if it happened on your platform, you're responsible, which is
literally what Section 230 is against.
That's the standard the leftists are saying against Parler.
They don't want 230 either.
It will be true, because the organizations of the buses, the people turning up in groups, was largely done on Silicon Valley platforms.
Yep.
So Sandberg gave an interview about this, trying to disavow, no, it's got nothing to do with us, because she's a leftist and wants to protect her own castle. So she says, I think these events were largely organized on platforms that don't have our abilities to stop hate, don't have our standards, and don't have our transparency.
Okay, but the evidence suggests otherwise.
But it's like, well, name them. Which platform? Because you can't say Parler, because we now have the data, so they didn't do nothing.
Yeah. I mean, leaking and hacking and leaking all of the Parler data is actually a bit of it's backfired on the left. Again, everything they do just backfires in their face.
Because they keep running up to reality.
Yeah,
and it's just like, we need to
yeah.
stop fighting reality. It's not going to work.
Our enemies are as evil as we are. We're telling you. It's like, yeah, but where's the proof?
But it's not just Facebook. Also, the next thing to go must be podcasts themselves. All podcasts. Any kind of speech online.
Well, it was nice having a podcast while we had it.
And this is the Associated Press saying extremists exploit a loophole in social moderation. Podcasts.
Well, that's not going to take long to take down, to be honest.
So
Apple and Google are the main podcasting sites, and Spotify, and they're not going to hold out.
The examples they give as well are really like, I expected them to bring up like neo-Nazi podcasts or something like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't see any. They gave podcasts that were like red pill, Obama lies 7076, really boomer outlets saying that this election was, not done properly.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I love the boomer MAGA crowd. I really do.
Yeah, they're the best guys.
They're so funny.
But it's not wildly extreme. It's just GOP.
Have you seen
points.
Michelle Obama's shoulders?
Chat about that another time. So. There's also the fact that they're trying to claim that this has been some kind of victory, the deplatforming of Trump and purging everyone. So this is Vox.com reporting that misinformation about the election has plunged 73% in a week-long period following the decision to ban Donald Trump.
I love that. So they're working, and what's happening? They're spreading. They're slowing the spread of things we don't agree with.
Yeah, but I don't actually think this is true. I think Vox are blinded by their own nonsense.
Oh, really?
Where they're saying, on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, misinformation is down 73%.
How the hell how do they know that?
But I'll just agree.
How do they measure that?
Like number of posts, let's say, with certain words in them, right? Like election fraud.
Maybe, I
like
guess.
that.
Yeah.
I'll just agree that that's what they've done and that's their measurement. Okay. But have the people disappeared? No, you've just banned them all. So all you've done now is you've sent the people who agree that this election hasn't been done properly, you've taken them out of your vision.
46% of the American public.
And now you can't even see the quote-unquote extremists.
You can't see what they're angry about.
No. So you completely blinded yourself. You've stuck yourselves in an echo chamber by banning them.
See, half the enemies disappeared.
It's like the army's half the size now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah, that's really is so stupid.
But this is why I think the internet's going to... it's always been going that it's going to siphon off into a progressive side and a conservative side.
Yeah.
I don't know if centrists have a place in that or not. I hope they do, but it seems to be
I guess
partisan.
we can only go to the Republicans because
they're the only ones tolerant enough.
Yeah, exactly. They're the only ones tolerant enough.
But the problem is being felt by the mainstream GOP types on the progressive side of this. Their accounts on Twitter are losing followers like mad. So the worst one here was Lindsey Graham losing 112,000 followers in the last week. So 100,000 people just gone.
Yep.
And whilst that's going on, so whilst they're purging these accounts, Nancy Pelosi, for example, gained 289,000 followers.
Wow, this is a really interesting shift of power that's going on online, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not even they're deleting a bunch of accounts so everyone's losing. It's like, no, one side is definitely losing here. The other side gaining massively. And there's also this weird kind of attack on Parler users. So if we can get the next one up, they're trying to argue that Parler users are evil because they're linking Parler to police stations and military bases.
Really?
They're within the National Guard, but it's
I was going to say, now I can see why they're worried about the National Guard.
But that doesn't mean anything. It just means Parler users are normal people who also have jobs.
Yeah, the people who guard you while you sleep.
Literally.
The Tyler Durdens of the world.
In Britain, they've also tried to come after British politicians for this. So this is the Guardian reporting that at least 14 Conservative MPs, including several ministers, Cabinet Minister Michael Gove, and a number of prominent Tory commentators have been on Parler.
I nearly said based, but I'm not going to call Michael Gove based.
No, but it's, how dare they even get out of this stuff?
Yeah. But I mean, it makes perfect sense for the Conservatives, who are actually conservative, to have declared themselves by opening a Parler account, and that's how this is being portrayed. If you are a real conservative, you are on Parler with the other real conservatives.
Like, do you want to be on the progressive side of the pole?
Yeah.
Like, I know they're not massively divergent at this point, but the banning's
it's going to
sped
happen,
up.
and it's not just going to be the actual front-facing platform either. It's going to be the infrastructure behind it, because as we're seeing with the Amazon Web Services,
Amazon's declared themselves for the progressive side.
Exactly, everyone's being cut off. There will be no tolerance. There will be no mutual coexistence. You will have to, build your own server, build your own payment processor, build your own this, that, and the other.
Build your own Uganda.
Yeah, exactly. Build your own Uganda, which is actually going on at the moment. I mean, this is what is happening with, I guess, conservative things. But yeah.
Yeah, and there's also trying to, make them look horrible, and the worst one they're trying to go after is Ben Bradley, which is most base conservative I've seen so far.
Yes.
He
I know,
dared.
Kemi's pretty great.
Kemi is also my other favourite. So he dared to send 52 parlays and had more than 12,000 followers. How could he? But this is the point we brought up as well earlier, which is that official government accounts, there are official UK government accounts on Twitter.
Yeah.
Why are they giving special privileges to Twitter by doing that? That's why people are on Twitter. It's not that big of a user base. I mean, we saw over the weekend, Telegram's actually overtaken Twitter.
Oh yeah, and
number of user base.
not only that. I mean, Trump had more Twitter followers than there were active Twitter users in the United States. So Trump had like 89 million followers, and I can't remember what the number of active Twitter users in the United States are, but it's fewer than that. So it's like, this is not a very big platform at all.
No. And
it's the political clout that it's given by the use by politicians that makes it important. If they go somewhere else, which why not? Why aren't they entitled to do? Twitter wanes in relevance.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to do the whole thing of like, well, it's conservative government in charge, therefore they should put all their stuff on Parler when it's back up to try and spite them.
I mean, they should.
Well, the individuals, yes. Like the Conservatives MPs will definitely have to.
And the government.
Don't really have a choice. But the government ones, I think actually they should just take them off social media
altogether. Either they have it on all of them or have it on none of them.
Yeah, have it on all of them or none of them. And I think none of them is preferable because the way the government acts on social media is cringe.
Well, it's not just that as well. If you have 0 people, then you have 0 people being paid to put this stuff up. So if you have 0 social media presence, you have 0 people paid by my tax dollars to post these things.
Yeah, save money.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, it's not just the online world that has to go. The boomers are being radicalized by their own TVs, so the TVs are a problem. So this is CNN love child Oliver Darcy talking about this, saying, "We are going to have to figure out OAN and Newsmax problem. These companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, and Comcast and such, bringing them to tens of thousands of homes.
Tens of millions of homes.
Tens of millions of homes.
But, okay, that's a fascinating statement. What I love about this is, like, I'm not sure we need the providers bringing them into homes. It's like, well, you're
not in charge of them.
Yeah, exactly. Who elected you, Oliver? Why do you act? And Alex Stamos, whoever that is.
Yeah, but Oliver gives the statement underneath.
Yeah.
You know, they've not answered any of our questions about why they're still doing it. So he's actively going after these organizations, saying you need to deplatform our opposition.
Yeah.
Because OAN and Newsmax are the opposition to CNN.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why Fox News has been dropped, because they were going after Fox News. I guess they gave up on that quest.
Yeah, I guess they couldn't get Fox News. But, they're going to try and actively deplatform their direct competitors.
Yeah, and we're going to end with a clip, which is just them saying exactly that. But they're not just going to go after direct competitors. They're going to go after everyone online who is even slightly conservative.
And the challenge is going to be partially that, ISIS did not have a domestic constituency in the United States Congress, but there is over half of the Republicans in Congress voted to overturn the election, and there will be a continual political pressure on the companies to not take it seriously. So I think first you have to focus on those violent extremists, and those companies have to be brave in that way. And second, we have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences. There are people on YouTube, for example, that have a larger audience than daytime CNN, and they are extremely radical and pushing extremely radical views. And so it's up to the Facebooks and YouTubes in particular to think about whether or not they want to be effectively cable networks for disinformation. And then we're going to have to figure out the OANN and Newsmax problem. That these companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such to be bringing them into tens of millions of homes. This is allowing people to seek out information if they really want to, but not pushing it into their faces, I think is where we're going to have to go here.
Disgusting.
It's unreal.
Absolutely disgusting point of view. Like, firstly,
it's the point of view of an emperor.
The idea that the GOP are essentially ISIS is pretty wacko.
Yeah.
But they have freedom of speech.
Ilhan Omar, not ISIS. GOP, definitely ISIS.
It's like, really? But the idea that freedom of speech is the ability to say the thing, but you have no right to reach anyone.
Yeah.
Like, you can write it down on a tablet in your bedroom, and that's it. We've got free speech. This guy can write down in his bedroom.
By that standard, Winston Smith had free speech.
Yeah, absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
And they're going to come after every cable news station that isn't them, because they've realised they've got the power to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've just deplatformed the president from social media. Why can't we do it offline?
And the platform he was most likely to go to in the event of this deplatforming.
And then you see him saying there, we're going to go after the conservatives on YouTube or anywhere else. They've also got to go because they're platforming disinformation.
Yeah.
It's like, you just define who disinformation is.
Well, it just means things we disagree with.
Yeah. Anything CNN disagrees with will go.
Yeah.
That's what their plan is.
So it's outright totalitarian. It's completely tyrannical.
I hope the left's pleased with themselves. You've elected this guy, and this has been the outcome.
Well, I'm glad that the mask is well and truly off. Hi, we're here to persecute you. Don't come near our capital because we'll get you shot.